Jazz hands. Hello everybody, this is DKG's Avos, and I was asked to do a little in-depth analysis on individual Pokemon, but I realized that before I get into huge detail about individual specific Pokemon, I would kind of have to give a broad-scale view of team dynamics and Pokemon roles in your team. As a little bit of a disclaimer here, everybody's team will be different based on playstyle, and where I like playing with paralysis and confusion luck, others like lowering stats and late-game beatdowns. Others rely on poison and burn damage, while still others really love their entry hazards and forcing switches through forcing engagements and moves like Dragon Tail or Roar. With that, I've kind of broken down Pokemon into the basics, the absolute basics. This is an intro after all. It's team building 101 here. There are far more ways to break down Pokemon roles in teams, but this is just an introduction. A way to get your feet wet, if you will. It's just a tribute. Be aware that some Pokemon can fit different roles based on their natures and moveset choices, while others are sometimes hard and fast in very specific roles. There's no one Pokemon, though, that can fit all the roles all the time. And it's my honest opinion that no Pokemon trainer can be successful without understanding what roles they're trying to fill in a team and what roles need to be filled in a team. So now let's get into the game. I've repeated over and over, I really don't like Talonflame. And now that I've pissed off half the audience, let me explain why. I hate Talonflame for the same reason that most Pokemon teams fail. It's an incorrect mindset. Talonflame is part of a group of Pokemon that I like to call late-game sweepers. They're your last shot. You're hit it hard and hit it fast and hit it now. It's the Pokemon that 20 turns in, when their entire team is at half health, I need a Pokemon that can take everything out in one shot so I can win this game and go and take home the trophy. Now that doesn't seem so bad, right? It seems like an awesome Pokemon. I'll take 6. Alright, Bucky Brewster, bring in the reins. The thing that bothers me about Aegislash, Talonflame, Protean Greninja, Charizard X, Mega Blaziken, or hell, even one of my prized possessions, my tried and true Gengar, is that they all get in, punch you right in the nose so hard that you're crying, and they'll get out before anybody even notices them. In an online rated 3s, having a team of 3 of any of these, with a decent moveset, you can probably win more than you lose, but when you double the number of Pokemon, the metagame shifts. You're no longer just fighting against other Talonflames and Greninjas, so it's not about who can hit hardest and fastest. There's a lot of switching, a fight for ground, constant struggle for type superiority. When your Talonflame can't OHKO, what can you do with it? Nothing. Talonflame is part of that class that we will call late sweepers. You can't switch them in on a full power move for fear they'll shatter all over the floor, and you can't OHKO everything immediately from full health. You gotta whittle down the opposition just a little bit, then mop up the rest of the team with these guys. Consider them kind of the late night janitor of the Pokemon world. It's a dirty job, but in this world, they're the ones that get all the glory. The best late-game sweepers have a wide range of coverage and a lot of power. You don't always need a lot of speed, but you always need a lot of power to be a late-game sweeper. Some of my favorites include Gengar, Starmie, and Gyarados. Alright, well, Avos, if I can't have 6 Talonflames, what can I have? I want things that hit like trucks. I want to make my opponent scream. And that's where the next group comes in. It's the Pokemon that still hit like trucks. It's the Pokemon that are a bit slower, but they're not Magcargo slow. These Pokemon really run the entire spectrum of speed, but they all have one thing in common. These guys take a hit, a big hit, and then they throw it right back. Revenge is a dish they always serve cold. They're the bulky sweepers. Scissor is a staple in OU for a bulky Pokemon that can not only take a hit, he resists the entire game, but then in a fashion that almost seems absolutely broken, crush through the opposition. Or if things get a little too dicey, he can U-turn out into something even more annoying. These are some of your bread and butter, your meat and potatoes, and you can switch into them expecting a Gale Wings Brave Bird to smash right through and still expect to see something standing by the time it's done. These are the Pokemon that are enough of a threat to force your opponent to switch. This is where games are won and lost. The bulky sweepers are the Pokemon that require the most finesse, the most decision-making, and usually the most prediction. I won't get too far into the battle decisions right now, but these are the Pokemon who make or break those decisions. I would argue this is probably the hardest part of the team to pick. But if I had to pick, my favorites are probably Scizor, Diggersby, Ursaring, and Magnezone. Alright, Avos. I built that stupid heavy-hitting team. I tried that. Still didn't work. Avos, you're dumb, and your sweepers are dumb too. Alright, well, hold on there, friend. We're not quite done. You might need what's called a wall. Walls come in when you can't seem to counter a Pokemon, and it's too set up. Really what you want is for it to just go away for a while. You need a minute to loosen your belt and relax a second. Or you just want to regain control of the game. You just got sick of looking at that Scizor, and you want it to go away because he's just a big mean bully. Now where am I going to find something to slow down the pace? Why, good sir, madam, it's the Wall and Tank Store Mart thing. Walls and tanks are different from your bulky sweepers in that they stall the game. They slow it down for you so that you can regain control of situations. You can force a trainer to waste precious power points on your stupid Trevenant. Why won't you die already? There's no one Pokemon that's really a universal wall or tank. Some of the tanks kind of really push toward bulky sweepers. But Avos, that's a really confusing line. I've got some pretty good Pokemon that already take quite a few shots. How am I even sure that I've got a wall? Well, let me tell you. Does your Pokemon have rest? Recover? Soft-boiled? Does leftovers or black sludge make your Pokemon just seem immortal? Does your friend throw his DS across the room because after using every Fire Blast, Focus Blast, every other Beam Thrower, Bolt, and Smash in the game, still can't beat your stupid Pokemon? Congratulations, you've got yourself a wall. Some walls are meant for different tiers. Down in the deep blue sea of the never-used tier, Lapras lives forever because of its insane special defense. Snorlax is king of the underused because of his Resto Chesto, with high defense and HP make him near impossible to conquer with just punching moves alone. And let's be honest, the queen of all walls, the Grand Poobah, most special of special defense walls in the entire game, Pokemon, Blissey. Packing a typical moveset of Toxic Flamethrower and Soft Freaking Boiled. Just in case you didn't have enough HP, it can gain half of it back. Super good. So what do walls do? They annoy people. They force switches. They force your opponent to lose an advantage. They're a rally point for your troops to come back together. It's a way to swing things back in your favor. Force an unfair type advantage, or, in some curse movesets, use that slow to an advantage. Personal favorites include Snorlax, Mega Venusaur, Slowking, and Reuniclus. Awesome. Alright, now here's the last part of the Pokemon teams. It's the early game edge. It's the rug that really ties the room together, man. It's the opener. The annoying thorn in your side, that stupid thing that always throws those rocks around and the spikes, and my Pokemon is always asleep when... yeah, all of that. Now, people will fight and arguments will rage. Personally, though, I think this is possibly the first and most prominent decision you need to make. Because this is the one Pokemon that will change the outcome of your entire battle right at the start. Your lead-out decides your playstyle. Your lead-out determines the tempo. And your lead-out determines who gets control early on. These are your support and setup Pokemon. If you're setting up protection, do you want Rain to protect your grass types from fire moves? Or are you just putting up dual screens? Did you bring support that heals your other Pokemon and has Wish or Heal Pulse? Or are you running a damage strategy with Toxic and Stealth Rocks? Or even Spikes? Or is it your Rapid Spin Pokemon that shrugs off a bunch of enemy hazards? Or do you play a harassment style with Confusion and Paralysis? No matter what your playstyle, This is your place to cement it. If you love Toxic, if you love watching your opponent cry inside, this is the place for you. Or if you need burns to reduce attack stats, or maybe you just keep Pokemon alive and love healing them all the time. This is it. This is a section for you. These are the Pokemon. All of them. They're here to make your battle easier. Sometimes they're a little short-lived, but long-felt. Or sometimes they're long-lived and just pester things until they finally give up and die. But no team, and I mean no team, is complete without grabbing onto one of these. My personal favorites from this grouping: Prankster Meowstic, Togekiss, Galvantula, and Ferrothorn. Alright, now, let's say you've gotten to the end of all this. You've sorted all your Pokemon by their roles in battle. How the hell do you even make a team work cohesively? Well, this is the point where we finally worry about types and coverages. You need to make sure that you don't have 6 Pokemon that are all weak to one specific Pokemon. Remember, a good late-game sweeper has really great coverage. Some great sweepers like Gengar can pack coverage versus Dark, Dragon, Steel, Normal, Ghost, Psychic, Rock, Poison, and Fighting. And that's all just in 4 moves. Having 3 Pokemon with the same weaknesses is often a huge liability because of this. That's half your team. Make sure you've got a good balance. The other thing to keep in mind are the abilities. If you've got a Politoed running Drizzle, it's probably not a great choice to have a Drought Ninetales too. If you're running a Parafusion, but your entire team is full of high-speed Jolteons and Dugtrio, you might be wasting your time with that Paralysis. It's all about cohesion here. If you're picking your Chlorophyll Pokemon, use it on that Drought team. If you've got Dry Skin Pokemon, use it on the Rain team, but try and keep them out of that harsh sunlight. If you're running a really technical but not so bulky team, try on those dual screens for size. And if your team is already naturally bulky but needs some help in the speed department, Paralysis is going to be your best friend. But, you know, sometimes you've got a lot of really special defensive bulky Pokemon, but you keep dying to those stupid physical attackers. Sometimes you just need to cut that attack stat in half and just burn them. Burn them all day. Attack stat cut in half and you're going to be fine. But you know, if you're playing with entry hazards, always try and force your opponent to pick switches. You need to force those. Choose your Pokemon that have Yawn, Toxic, Whirlwind, or even Roar. The common theme throughout this entire video, though, is cohesiveness. Pick Pokemon that have abilities, powers, and moves that support each other. It's a team of 6. It's that many. Not a motley crew of 6 individuals. Your sweepers are like the meat. They're the fun, exciting thing that your sandwich is named after. Nobody's ever heard of a French bread sub. It's a meatball sub, you jerk. Talonflame, it's a great meatball. Yeah. Our bulky sweepers, they're like Azumarill, Diggersby. Even our fun Rapid Spin Blastoise, they're the bread and butter. They're the thing that hold us together. Our tank is that sauce that goes across and slows us down a little bit. Makes us savor the meal. Like slow bro. Last but not least, our setup. He's the glue that binds everything, the thick layer of white paste. The inner kindergartner in all of us wants to spread around all over everything. Keeps us sane and drives our opponents mad. Thanks, Meowstick. With that, pretty sure that I just made a meatball and glue sandwich. But I'm sticking with it. That analogy sucks, but it still works. Merry Christmas, guys. This has been DKG's Avos, signing out for now.